Hi, Recap Port here. Today I'm going to explain an action sci-fi movie called Reign of Fire. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie opens in central London, where a young kid named Quinn makes his way to a construction site after school hours. Following a bit of banter with one of the workers, Quinn steps into an elevator that takes him to the lowest level of a deep excavation hole. He has traveled all this way to see his mother, Karen, who is a supervisor at the construction site. It is revealed that Quinn had lost a £3,000 per year scholarship from his school, a sum that they can barely afford. Suddenly, one of the workers takes Karen away because the drilling work is experiencing an unexpected halt. The young kid then wanders around the site and stumbles upon a miner who is looking into a dark cave. He curses Karen for her apparent ineptitude, completely unaware that her son is right behind him. This offends Quinn, and he insults the miner. In return, the latter dares him to enter the cave. Without a moment's hesitation, Quinn goes in with a torch. Inside, he is left speechless as the surface of the cave walls resembles animal hide. As he touches the walls, a ball of fire drops near his legs. Quinn slowly turns his torch toward the cave's roof, only to be met by a hair-raising sight. A dragon is perched, ready to pounce on him. The walls he had touched just seconds ago were simply the scales of the dragon, asleep in this cave. Suddenly, the dragon spits a thick liquid on Quinn's face, temporarily blinding him. The kid finds his footing and quickly runs back outside. Karen, seeing her son's bloodshot eyes, immediately washes his face with water. Everyone knows water is the cure for dragon jizz. Meanwhile, two other miners venture near the mouth of the cave, despite Quinn's desperate warnings. In a matter of seconds, a huge wave of fire emerges from the cave, engulfing everything in its path. The mother-son duo manages to escape into the elevator, narrowly avoiding the fire. However, out of the flames emerges a fearsome dragon, which claws at the elevator before escaping into the outside world. In the aftermath of this attack, Quinn fully regains his sight, but tragically, Karen is killed. A voiceover from the now adult Quinn reveals what happened over the next decade. It was the dragons who were responsible for the extinction of dinosaurs and the subsequent Ice Age. Those powerful creatures would awaken from their hibernation and consume every living organism on Earth before returning to sleep. It is a continuous cycle of complete annihilation that keeps repeating. Humans use their advanced missiles to fight back against these beasts, but for every one dragon destroyed, hundreds of others would appear. This led the human population to the brink of extinction. The survivors
fled the major cities and now live in whatever shelters they can find,
and so have their food resources. As a result, the remaining beasts have grown more aggressive in their hunt. Quinn leads a group of survivors who have established an underground refuge beneath an abandoned castle in Northumberland. These survivors only venture away from their shelter to hunt for food in the fields outside. One day, Quinn finds his friend Eddie and a few others trying to leave their shelter. He strongly advises them against this and emphasizes that outside they will be vulnerable to dragon attacks. But the food supplies have dwindled so low that Eddie argues they'll starve to death if they stay back. Quinn tries to reason that the food shortage won't last long, as the crops will ripen soon. Despite these warnings, Eddie remains determined to search for food, willing to face the risks beyond their shelter. The following day, Eddie and a few others discreetly make their way back towards the fields. The security guard on the watchtower spots several dragons approaching and immediately sends a distress signal throughout the castle. As the leader, Quinn hastily organizes a team to confront the ferocious dragons. He also learns that Eddie and the others are out in the field, so he sets off on a rescue mission. In the field, Eddie's group spots a dragon approaching from a distance. It suddenly swoops down and spews balls of fire before they can take cover. This sets the entire plantation on fire, and they quickly realize they're trapped by the flames. Just when it seems they are going to die, Quinn arrives with his men and orders fires to be set all around the field. This is done in a desperate attempt to hide their presence, as the thick smoke clouds the dragon's vision. However, this action also completely destroys their cultivated food supply. Quinn then rushes into the field, wearing his protective gear, and swiftly guides his people back into his truck. As they drive away, a dragon blocks their path and confronts them head-on. It unleashes a devastating stream of fire, catching Eddie's son, who had not yet reached the truck. The group has no choice but to flee without him. In the aftermath, the entire community mourns the tragic loss of the young boy. Quinn's best friend, CRADIT, expresses his frustration and argues that Eddie's stubbornness led to this tragedy. Quinn agrees and adds that the tragedy has also led to the destruction of their entire crop supply. In the next scene, a convoy of armored vehicles arrives outside the castle. CRADIT and the castle's security team approach them cautiously. Soon after, the convoy's leader, a charismatic American man named Denton Van Zandt,
All right, 420 blaze it.
steps out of his tank and requests a meeting with the castle's leader. He meets with Quinn and introduces his group as dragon hunters. He reveals that they actively hunt dragons and are on a mission to rid the world of these dangerous creatures. Van Zandt inquires if he and his comrades can take shelter in the castle to recover and restore their weapons. Quinn remains skeptical about his story and rejects their request. But to prove his claims, Van Zandt pulls out a sharp tooth, claiming that he personally killed a dragon during a hunt and extracted its tooth
I use it to pack my blunt.
as a trophy. He further reveals that a dragon's main weakness is its poor vision during twilight. This is enough to convince Quinn, and he agrees to let them stay, but he sternly warns them not to cause any trouble within their community. Following this, the convoy drives their armored vehicles into the castle while their pilot, Alexandra, flies in on her helicopter. Once the newcomers are in, Quinn instructs CRADIT to keep an eye on them. Afterward, the security guard monitoring the area spots another dragon soaring through the sky. He immediately sets off the alarms, leading both teams to come together to prepare for another battle. 3 American men are dispatched on motorbikes to reach the location where they intend to hunt the dragons. Their task is to go ahead of the group and install a radar-like device in the fields where the dragons are expected to appear. The device consists of 3 poles arranged in a triangular formation, and it must be carefully positioned to detect the dragon. 2 of the bikers successfully deploy the device at the designated site. However, the 3rd rider meets with an accident and tragically loses his life before completing the mission. Van Zandt tries to communicate with the 3rd team member, but receives no response. Meanwhile, Alexandra's team sets off in the helicopter to confront the dragon. Suddenly, a dragon appears behind them, but soon vanishes into the clouds. The team loses sight of it and then drifts aimlessly, as the radar device isn't completely deployed. Luckily, Quinn observes these events unfolding and swiftly locates the 3rd biker. He uses his walkie-talkie to inform Van Zandt about the tragic outcome. The American then directs him on where to position the 3rd radar, and he manages to place the machine in the correct location. Meanwhile, Alexandra's team gains visibility just in time to spot a dragon charging towards them. She instructs one of her team members to jump from the helicopter, acting as bait. The man grabs the equipment and bravely leaps from the helicopter, drawing the dragon's attention. The strategy succeeds as the dragon flies towards the man. Seconds later, 2 more soldiers leap from the helicopter and sneak up behind the beast. They trap it in a net, but the creature effortlessly breaks free and devours one of the soldiers. That plan sucked. The other one fails to open his parachute in time and tragically fails to his death. Van Zandt's team is as phony as McSee's self-help classes. On the ground, Quinn receives word that the dragon is now heading towards the mountain where he is located. Van Zandt then contacts him and proposes that he act as bait in a final attempt to defeat the dragon. Without any hesitation, Quinn agrees and rides towards the beast on horseback. Just before the dragon can cause a fatality, Van Zandt manages to shoot it with an explosive arrow, ultimately killing it.
All right, yeah.
After the battle, Quinn, Alexandra, and Van Zandt gather to discuss their upcoming plan. She shares her discovery that all the dragons they have killed so far have been female. She speculates that the dragons reproduce rapidly, relying on a single male to fertilize numerous eggs. Hence, Van Zandt proposes that they locate and eliminate the male dragon, thereby wiping out the entire species. I'm jealous of that bastard. Let's take him out. He has heard rumors about the male dragon hibernating in London and plans to travel there. Van Zandt invites Quinn and his team to join forces for this mission. However, our hero refuses, concerned that hunting the male dragon could provoke the creature's retribution. He does not want to risk the lives of his people any further. Frustrated, Van Zandt storms outside and gathers men from both teams for their mission. But Quinn is strictly against this, and a heated scuffle ensues between the two leaders. Fortunately, before any serious damage is done, Alexandra arrives and separates them. In the next scene, Van Zandt proceeds to set out with his combined forces, consisting of men from both his and Quinn's teams. Shortly afterward, Quinn notices his apprentice Jared preparing to leave with the convoy. He tries to persuade him to stay behind at the castle due to the risky nature of the mission. However, the young man coldly reminds Quinn that he is not his father to order him around. Jared then joins the convoy and sets off for London to confront the male dragon. That night, Quinn strategically places dragon bones around the castle grounds. It is revealed that the beasts hate the scent of their deceased kin, and it could deter them from the area for a short period. Surprisingly, Jared walks back on his decision to join the convoy and returns to the castle. Meanwhile, Van Zandt and his team reach a nearby town, devastated by dragon attacks. Their path is obstructed by ruins, forcing them to stop. Suddenly, an explosion erupts in the distance, and Van Zandt swiftly assembles his men. They raise their weapons, preparing to confront the threat. Shortly after, the dragon shows up, and Van Zandt commands his men to open fire, but the dragon engulfs them in flames within moments. Realizing that there's no way they can fight back, Van Zandt takes cover in his vehicle to shield himself against the fire. Shortly after, Alexandra arrives at the scene and discovers Van Zandt as the lone survivor of the attack. He confirms that the male dragon was the perpetrator and fears it may now be heading towards the castle. Afterward, the dragon arrives at the shelter and unleashes its devastating fiery breath, forcing everyone to rush to the underground bunker for safety. Meanwhile, Quinn frantically rushes upstairs, only to find the shelter completely engulfed in flames. Amidst the chaos, CRADIT is trapped under the burning rubble. Despite Quinn's desperate efforts, his best friend tragically succumbs to the fire. Following the tragic event, Van Zandt and Alexandra return to the castle and free the residents trapped in the bunker. A devastated Quinn then announces that he'll help them kill the male dragon once and for all. He knows that its nest is near the construction site in London, where his mother was killed decades ago. Using Alexandra's helicopter, the trio soon arrives in London, which is now a decimated, abandoned town overrun by hundreds of dragons. The group witnesses the smaller female dragons being cannibalized by the visibly larger male. This causes the females to scatter in fear, leaving the male dragon alone and undefended. Quinn, who has been familiar with London since childhood, guides his team to the construction site. Van Zandt then lays out their strategy. They will divide their forces to lure the dragon into attacking them, and when it opens its mouth, Quinn will fire a C4 explosive strapped to a crossbow bolt down the dragon's throat. Van Zandt has been playing Zelda. Following this, the group takes cover and gets ready to execute their plan. The male dragon soon arrives and spots Quinn on the ground. It targets him with a fiery attack, but he manages to dodge the assault. Somehow, Alexandra then acts as bait and successfully lures the dragon towards the tower, all according to plan. However, the beast unexpectedly redirects its attention to Van Zandt. He tries to shoot the explosive into its mouth, but the dragon easily destroys it. Knowing that their plan has failed, Van Zandt jumps off the building to attack the male dragon with his giant axe. Unfortunately, he is no match for the creature, which catches and eats him mid-air.
Right on.
Too bad he didn't just do that with the C4. Meanwhile, Quinn realizes Van Zandt dropped a few explosive arrows during the earlier attack. While the dragon continues to spit fire all around, Quinn and Alexandra manage to find a new hiding spot for cover. Suddenly, he sees the arrows near a truck and sprints towards them, with the dragon closely pursuing him. In a daring move, Quinn stands his ground right in front of the male dragon. Just as the beast opens its mouth to unleash hell, he shoots the arrow directly into its throat. This causes a powerful explosion that finally kills the beast. The movie ends with a scene 3 months later with no recent dragon attacks. Quinn and Alexandra watch over the North Sea. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.